pentagram on. There we go, got the beautiful camera on. Yay. Here we go. Put this up here. Gives the view up here. There we go. Got the camera on. Just got to put that on my head properly. POV view gives the POV view for the YouTube. Now, sorry, I'll just go and check the. I'm getting back into the swing of things, and it should be on my website. I have the thing set up so it goes to my website too. Here we go, live. Should be, let's play. And there we have it. So, just check the angle of it. No, that's pretty good. Good view. Okay, so that's on my website. I have the stream go to my website, as well as goes to my YouTube. There it is there. So that's on YouTube. And my wastebook. There it is there. So I have 3 places that I set my live stream to. YouTube, Facebook, and my website. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Just wanted to check it. Righto. Now, let's tape up this rail. The big, easy. Now, I always say to people, if you've got a rail gauge, first thing you do is treat it like kale. Walk straight to your bin and throw it in your bin. Because if you use a rail gauge, you'll never ever be able to hand free tape a board, okay? It's like a crutch. Yeah, it'll help you learn, but if you don't dive in and actually learn how to tape a board, and there's only one way to do it. I always say is that you just buy a box of tape, and then you pick up a roll of tape which has 30 metres, which has basically about 12 attempts of a rail each side in each roll, and you just tape it up. Lift it off, do it again. Now, it might take you, for argument's sake, that's pretty good there, see that? It might take you 10 rolls of tape, it might take you 20 rolls of tape, it might take you 4 rolls of tape till you can perfect it. But once you know how to do it, you will never not be able to do it. Okay? I've worked in factories where people, even that own the business, couldn't tape up a rail. Now, this is one of the first things you learn when you are making boards. Okay? And you you know, sometimes you have to readjust it, like this little bit here. You just lift it off, fix it up. Yeah. Come back a touch. Righto. Now, I can't stress that enough on learning how to tape, because one, it involves pin lines. It involves how you look at a rail, being able to follow a line. Okay, there's nothing hard about taping up, but you've got to learn to do it. Okay, look at that. They're both pretty good, close enough. Come to the nose, adjust this little bit here. Now tape up this side, go to the nose. Looks pretty good. And I see people, they use those fucking rail gauges. I can't stand them. Absolutely can't stand them. All I see is it hinders you. Best way to describe it, it's like using a jet ski to get out. Yeah, some conditions are pretty hard, I imagine, for big wave surfing, but some of the absolute legends in big wave surfing did paddle out surfing and all that sort of stuff first. So don't water down your skill because it's easier at the start. Okay, just persist at it, learn how to tape up a rail. And I'll just turn the sound off here. There we go. Yeah, so throw it in the bin. You've got to be able to work by eye. Okay, if making surfboards is mostly how it looks, okay, and how it feels. So you feel a good rail before you see it, okay? That's like, you put your hand over a rail, and when that deck just comes down beautiful, tucks under, it's like perfection. You know that's going to work. Okay, so the same thing goes for taping up. You see it, and you can see it coming together, and when it does, it's an amazing feeling. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, but when you have to do it to a line, it's not good. And the line isn't right. The line doesn't flow around the rail properly. Yeah, so. But I'm not saying, if you want to do it that way, do it. I'm not saying don't do it. But if I were you, throw it in the bin. You've got to be able to tape up a rail in a matter of seconds. Where's my 2-inch tape? Oh, I've got to buy some more down to my last roll. Still got 6 of the other ones. Yeah. I'll be out in the glassing bay shortly, so I've got my camera on Instagram out there. It's funny, it only takes me 4 clicks to set up streaming to YouTube, Facebook and my website. I use a thing called Restream. Took me a while to learn how to do it, but using the RMTP, but I'm a great believer in you can do it. Learn how to do it. There's enough videos and information online to learn how to do most things. You know, well, even this video, for example, if you've never glassed a board before, you can watch these videos and you'll get a heads up, a big heads up. So But no, I built the live stream. Now, I remember I was going to set up a live stream to my website, and I rang up an internet provider or internet worker thing, and they said, "Oh, it's going to cost you $5,000 for us to do it," and it cost me nothing. I just learned how to do it and did it. Now, I'm not downgrading people that work on internets and websites and stuff. I'm not downgrading their skill. Their skill is good, but sometimes you haven't got that sort of money. When you're starting out in business, you haven't got that sort of money. And then people say, "Oh, you have to invest it to make it," and no, you don't. If you have interesting content, people will watch it. If you're fraudulent, like if you're pretending to be a great board maker and you can't even glass or sand or polish or anything, you're going to get found out real quick. That's one of the main reasons why I do my videos, because I want people to see that I do the whole lot. Not for ego, just to know that when you buy a board off me, I touch every single part of it. Every board with my Pieter logo on it, I've sanded, I've glassed. So I know for a fact I have not got one of my boards which the rail has been over sanded. When you send them off the glass shops, oh yeah. You got Joe Bodgy, the sander on a Friday Arvo, and he's rushing through a green board and he oversands it. Expect the shit glass job. So that's why I don't use glass shops. I used to do it myself. I was a glass shop once. Used to do Xanadu's, Almerics. This is back in the 90s I'm talking about. Xanadu's, Almerics, Aloha, all types. Insight. So you're sort of talking to the top end boards at the time. Okay. Now you just, anyone can be a glasser. It's actually really ridiculous how bad it got with that type of stuff. Now, so that's ready to go. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to seal the stringer quickly, because cedar's always been one of those materials that sometimes causes a little bit of grief. It might be a bit, I don't know, oily. I don't know what the reason it does what it does. No, that pail's gone. That pail was open 3 months ago. So now I'm on a new pail. Once air gets to it, it sets it off. But that resin's, I'll throw that out. It's only a little bit in there. This stuff hopefully will be spot on. Completely airtight. Should be perfect. I'll get myself a new, I should have a new pourer here. I'll just have a look. It might be sitting up the back here. Maybe not. Maybe I've used it. I don't know. So I'm just looking up here. I may have to use the old one, which isn't a bad thing. I can use it. No. I've used them all up. So I'll just reuse this one in here, which is easy to do. Pour that out there. See a big clump come out. Here it comes. And plop. That's just where the resin's gone off. So put that back on here. I'll just give my little thing a clean out and get that old resin out. just for cleaning and things like that. Doing pin lines. There we go. I'm just getting rid of the old resin that was in there. I don't want it to contaminate the new. So a bit of acetone. There we go, look at that. Clean as a whistle. Clean the handle a bit. I've got a bit dirty. There we go. So now we have a clean container for putting my resin out. Now I'll just use a little bit first. Beautiful and green. Just check all that. Yep, perfect. Now I'm going to put a bit of tape across there in 2 secs. I just want to seal this quickly while I'm waiting. I'm just going to seal the stringer. You don't have to seal the stringer, but I do. It's just one of those little habits you get into. Right, clean that. New brush. Now I'll just paint a little bit of resin on here. Doesn't need a lot. Just a little bit down here. I seal this part. Now the reason I do that, sometimes it does go a bit funny for some reason. I don't know what it is, whether it's the oil in the cedar or what, or the sap or whatever. But now that I've done this, it actually creates it's like bondcrete. Anyone that uses any concrete products will know what I'm talking about. When you put bondcrete on, you paint it on the surface and then it sticks to it. Then when I go to put resin on this, resin will stick on this perfectly, okay? It'll just bond really, really well because it's resin to resin, because I've already stuck this on. There we go. Get up the front here. You don't have to do this, but I've done it where I've done boards and you've got to the end and then suddenly the stringer crystallizes. And for the sake of doing this for a couple of minutes, I do it on my balsa boards as well. I know you don't have to, but I would hate to spend, you know, especially on a balsa board, thousands of dollars and then have it crystallize for some reason. Now I'm just going to keep an eye on that resin and see how quick it goes off, just to make sure there's nothing peculiar about it. There we go. Now just check the bottom for any hairs or anything like that. Dots of dust. There's one, see that? Just pick it up with a bit of tape. Sometimes you have dust floating in the air or it drops off the ceiling for some reason. There's many different things trying to screw you over when you make boards. So you just go over it. There's one. Touch that, pick it up. Your hair off your head or off the shirt, a bit of fluff. There's so many things that try and stuff you up. Now, I'm just waiting to see when this gels. See what sort of gel time I've got with the thing, because I haven't used it for a while. Excuse me. Now I'm going to do my bit of tape. Now, because you don't want air getting into your resin, okay, what you do is you get a bit of tape, you go across here like this, put 3 pieces of tape, 2 and 3. Now, you squeeze it together, and you lift it back up, because we want it sitting down. We want the lid to actually sit down into the seal properly. So you get this tape, push it down a little bit so it goes in a bit, go down here, push it down a little bit, see how it's now sitting below where the lid's going to go. Then put a bit of tape around the outside. There we go, that's going to hold it on there. Now, when this sits here, it sits in the resin, it's below the surface of the lid, and now this little lip here will fit down the seal properly. See that? So that's not letting any air in now, okay, because of that little tape up method there, which works quite well. I've done it for years. It's all coming along well. Now this is a big easy. So I'll put Steve's thing up. Big easy. Here we go. Looking bloody good. Bowline, fin patch and knee patch. I'm just waiting for this to gel. It's just about to gel now. I did a hot mix, so that's a good sign. Right, so that's going to go off. So I'll just let that sit there. I can't just drop it out my door now because I've got all this paving. And all you do, you just add a bit of water to it. Remember, this was a purposeful hot mix, okay? That was a hot mix on purpose. Now, let's get the cloth out. Oh, my camera's not on. Hang on, I'm just checking. Maybe the battery went flat. Now it's on. Here we go. Just go. Here we go. I'll show you on here. If you go to my website, there we go. And I've got the link to YouTube. It's there. And go back to my website. It's on Facebook. There it is there. Go back to my website. That says, righto, so I don't use the POV for my Instagram. Obviously I can't. Just turn all this off. There we go. But it is on the website. Okay. I was going to do the camera, but it's just too big to have on the side of your head. It weighs a ton. Okay. Where this thing's lightweight. Right. Now, I've got a little bit of Volan here to use up. This will be the last patch on the tail. When you come to an end of a roll, you normally have little bits left over, and this is what you use them for. Okay, you just do things like this where you do your patch. There we go. Put that up here. This just uses up the last bits of your roll. So you don't waste it basically. I think that's the best way to describe it. Not getting any waste. Line that up. Now this fin patch really doesn't do anything for strength because I cap all my boxes. But I'll show you what I do here. I'll get one of my 12-inch boxes, which is set 6 inches from the tail, and I'll cut that there. That's perfect. Okay. My good scissors. Now I haven't used these for a little while, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a bit of cloth off here, and I'm going to give it a bit of clean, because what happens is rust sometimes builds up, and I'll see if there is any on here. So make sure my scissors are clean. No, they were clean, but it's still worth doing. Now, I'm going to cut around here carefully. This is more for show than anything, this patch, because I cap my boxes, so all my strength is there. Tell you what, it's been a good break. I really enjoyed the break away from boards, you know, doing all the yard work and everything. I have to be honest, it was a good change. Otherwise, I think you end up a bit one-dimensional. And yes, it's great to be one-dimensional to do things and stuff like that, but sometimes balance is, you know, balance is a bit of a thing too. Because I like when I was a young kid and 15, I was a boiler maker, so I built, you know, lots of things then, and so it's okay not to be a one-trick pony, you know what I mean? Oh, just line that up. There we go. Now, so that's the patch, the first layer on. Now I'm just going to pull the bowl end down. That's been sitting there for 3 months, so make sure there's no dust in it. Pull that out. Perfect. Now my preference on bowl end is the 7.5 or 8 ounce, people call it. I think it's a good weight. It's 6 ounce is just a bit weak. The 7.5 gives you a good strength. Okay, it sort of just gives you a little bit more strength. 10 ounce, yeah, it's strong. It's very heavy, but I think, you know, I prefer the 7.5. As I say, we've done lots of work around the yard. We're setting up the yard so next lockdown we're happy just to be in the backyard. We've got everything here. We've got a pool, we've got views, and you know, it's just beautiful. And I know someone might be surprised to hear the word lockdown, but have a listen to the minister at the moment, the health minister. Oh no, they're talking about it again. So I'm going a bit slow today, so today's all about getting back into it slowly. I'm not rushing. I'm actually going to slow down a little bit. Not worried about, you know, showing off, doing things super fast anymore. That's all it is, basically, is showing off. I'm happy to just teach some people as well. Hopefully get that technique that I do out there, which will be nice to have that continuing. as for work, I mean, it's good. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I would not like to do anything other than make boards. I'll be honest with you there. It's my favourite thing to do. But it was good to have a break. Makes you appreciate what you do. It really does. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it makes you appreciate what you do. Pretty happy, but what I'm trying to show today is if you have a good technique, you shouldn't have any problems stopping for 3 months like I did. Yeah, stopping for 3 months and then getting straight back into it. You know, that's the key to it. And if you have a technique which you know, is a solid foundation, no matter what you're doing, you'll have no problems getting back into it. I always put a bit of plastic down on the 10-footers because my stand's just not quite long enough. And yes, I could make it longer, but I never got round to it. I just put a bit of plastic down for any drops come down on that, and I just lift it up. Now this is going to be a bit nerve-wracking, this, eh? Resin for the first time for a while. It's not really, but I'll pretend. I'll play on it. Now, ice cream containers. That's the problem. I should have mentioned that. We have a problem with ice cream containers now. You can't get them. And what happened was the company that made ice cream containers, his standard old white ones, did food grade. And the company got bought out by another company that was going to keep making them. They weren't set up for food grade, so now we have a shortage in ice cream containers. I've got to use these different shaped ones now. You can't get the ice cream containers anymore. So, very, very big thing, that. Now the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put some Mr. Sheen on my shoes. Because Mr. Sheen should stop stuff sticking to my shoes as bad. I know it sounds silly, you're going to laugh at me. There we go. 2 litres. Righto, what do I do now? I can't remember. Squeegee time. Squeegee stays right there. Give it a quick clean. My preferred squeegee is the Surf Blank squeegee. I think it's fantastic. Great feeling. Really, really good. Righto, here goes nothing. Let's do it. Now, 1%, 20 mils. Let's go. Here we go. We're on like Donkey Kong. spread this out quick. I'm not using gloves on my first board back because I just want it to feel really, so I can feel everything. It's been a while. One board won't kill me. So I'm just getting this down a bit quicker than I normally do. I'm just want to make sure my resin is okay. Right, so I've got that down. That was my big worry. These containers are going to take a little while to get used to being extra big. Right. I know people do the waterfall thing, but it wastes a hell of a lot of resin doing it that way. And this way you don't have much wastage, mainly because a lot of glass and videos, people work in someone else's factory and they don't pay for the resin. But this is I waterfall the second time, and what that does is it actually will stick to it because it's wet already. When you waterfall a dry rail, it just runs straight off. Okay, so there you go, waterfall it now. So this resin won't run off too quick. It'll stick to the rail a bit. Most of the times you save time is doing the rail by hand like that. That's where you save more money than waterfalling. Now this side. Nice waterfall this little bit. The reason we do that is so the rail's nice and wet when I'm tucking it under. There we go. So that's the rail put under. So what I do now is do that, tuck that, I'll work my way around. So the rail's been put down already with my hand. I'm just getting any excess resin out of it. It's a pretty foolproof technique, this one. If you can do something similar, you'll have a lot of joy glassing. You won't have it fuck up too often. So you work your way around. There's my excess resin dropping on that little bit of plastic. Let's put them down. Here we go. Little strands. Right, so this rail's done pretty well. When I get to the other side, it'll be done. But I'll still go around it one more time and check it. But because I'm using resin that's a few months old, 4 months old, I wanted to make sure it wasn't spent, because a lot of times old resin speeds up a bit. So what I wanted to do was get it down pretty quick, even though that was not quick, it was reasonably quick. And yes, I'm not using gloves on this one. This is the first one back. Wanted to keep it a bit easier. I'll let that soak in there, and then I'll pick up my second squeegee. Right, this one's ready to go. Now what I'm checking here is my resin. See how it's going off. It shouldn't be gelling yet. Okay, it's not gelling yet, that's good. Pull a little bit of excess out of here, just make sure I go down the stringer. Just want to make sure the stringer is completely wet. Okay, that looks perfect. There's no problems there. Go around the rail, just make sure there's no drips or anything. No, that looks good. Go around here. Okay, that all looks spot on.